Welcome back everyone to another video. Today I am doing a sunrise shoot in Tuscany, and for those of you that haven't watched part one of this two-part series yet, I highly recommend you go and watch that one. In last week's video I was photographing a beautiful sweet chestnut forest in the Tuscan hills, but today you find me de-icing the car on a very cold morning as I go off to shoot sunrise. Hope you guys enjoy. Note to self, next time I'm going abroad and I'm driving a car, bring a little ice scraper with me. The only thing I've got is this rental agreement. Luckily it's done the trick, but not the ideal tool for the job really. What a morning. Good morning everyone. Lovely to see you all again. You join me here on a pretty cold morning actually in a little town called Radicondoli in Tuscany. So I'm still here on my wedding recce trip, and yeah, this is a town which was about a half an hour, 40-minute drive from where I was staying. And basically I looked up on Google all the local viewpoints, and this looked like a really good one actually. So basically I've decided to come here this morning. There was a few photos and it actually is gorgeous, you know. It was a really lovely drive here, very nice windy roads, and just as the light's coming up as well, it just looks incredible. Tuscany at this time of year. I'm pretty sure it probably looks incredible at every time of year, but yeah, it's definitely really nice to be here. But the first thing I've got to do this morning was in a little bit of a rush. As you can see, there has already been some ambient light coming up. I haven't even got composition yet, so everything is a bit of a rush. I'm probably 20 minutes later than I would have liked to have been. But yeah, I've just got to get ready for this shoot with some gloves and scarf and that kind of thing, just because I'll freeze if I stay like this. So yeah, gloves on, snood on, all zipped up and ready to start shooting. Yes, let's get into it. I didn't actually time that. That was very convenient. Just a ding of the bell as I started recording. I'm not sure if it captured it. But yeah, very welcome anyway. It sets the scene quite well. Right, so I've been sort of walking around this little viewpoint area for, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, just trying to work out exactly what I want to shoot. It's obviously quite a wide vista here. You know, I've got lots of choices. I'm not thinking that I'm going to go for, you know, shooting the whole scene. What I'm thinking is I'd like to pinpoint something, some sort of focal point within this wide vista with the telephoto lens. It's not going completely to plan, to be honest, because the sun is actually rising sort of way over in that in the distance over there. So is not ideal in terms of getting colour in the shot. You can see there is a bit of colour in the sky now actually, but there's no clouds or anything, so I don't think we're going to get much of a sunrise in this direction especially. But what we hopefully will get is quite a nice alpenglow when the sun does peak above the horizon there. You know, hopefully all of this valley is going to be just bathed in gorgeous like a lovely warm light, and I think that's just going to look incredible. But I would like to try and pinpoint something, some sort of focal point within this scene that's really going to show, you know, that classic Tuscany feel. And at the moment, I've got a couple of choices that walk out of frame. I've got a couple of choices that I'm quite keen on. There's a hill just behind me there. That hill, it just looks quite different to all of the others. It's a bit more sort of gnarled, and it's got quite a bit of character. I think it's perhaps a little bit more tree lined, or the trees are a bit more mature on that hill, which just kind of gives it a bit more of a few contours and that sort of thing. There's also a really quite a nice village. I'm not sure, I'll have to look up what it's actually called, and I'll pop it on the screen down below. But yeah, there's a lovely village off in the distance, and to the left of it you've got kind of, maybe it's a bonfire, maybe it's someone's log burner or something like that, but there's a plume of smoke going up, which would be quite cool to include as part of the story. And then to the right of the village there's a very distant mountain that you can see as well, which also lends itself to, you know, telling that Tuscan story through the photograph. So yeah, I think I've definitely got choices. This is a weird one, coming to a viewpoint like this. You know, it's obviously quite a touristy thing. They've got like the classic binoculars that you get at scenic viewpoints, and so that you can look out and look at different things across the landscape. But you know, there's not that much of interest. Nothing's really standing out to me. It's very cool, looks really, really nice, but yeah, it's just not photographically interesting, I wouldn't say, so far. You never know, when the light does come above the horizon, maybe that might change things. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need just a bit of that alpenglow to make everything come to life a bit. So yeah, I'm going to continue, you know, tinkering with the composition. I'll get the camera on a tripod once I've completely decided what I want to shoot, and then yeah, we'll hopefully get that sun rising above the horizon. What's the time now? I think the sun's due to rise any time now actually. So yeah, it's 7:30 in the morning. So it's definitely sunrise o'clock. That faffing as usual. The sky's really turning a lovely colour at the moment, and I'm not ready with the camera, unfortunately. Well, not ready locked off on a tripod anyway. Oh, I hate when this happens. Really wanted to be nice and early today, but it never works out. Right, so I'm now capturing my shots. That little village over there, which I'm still yet to work out the name of, that is really catching the morning glow now. I actually thought the sun was going to come from a completely different angle actually. In fact, I'm looking over in that direction as well, where that hill is, and that's really catching the light. It's very tempting to change now, but I'm quite set on this. In fact, the sun is moving so quickly, I'm just constantly shooting this, so I'm focusing all the way out on the village in the distance there, and I've got a 10-second timer on because it is quite windy, and I'm all the way zoomed in to 300mm on this lens, so I really have used all of my focal length this morning. So the one thing to mention is that lovely little smoke plume that I mentioned before, yeah, that's not a nice little Tuscan villa or a bonfire or anything like that. That is a power station by the look of it, so I decided not to include that in the frame. I did take one just with the power station included, but yeah, it doesn't really tell that Tuscan story very well, so I've decided to zoom in that little bit further, pan to the right a little bit, and exclude that. Which I'm really quite happy with this frame. It's quite nicely balanced. Basically, the village is anchoring the left-hand side of the frame, and then the mountain in the distance is anchoring the right-hand side of the frame. So it's quite symmetrical. But it hasn't got like a central focal point, which is obviously always the easy way to go when you're struggling for composition and you just want to kind of shoot something. It's very easy to just put your subject smack bang in the middle, but this is quite nice. I quite like it when this happens, when you've got quite a nice balanced image, but it's not actually just plonking something straight in the center. So yeah, this is looking really good for now. The light is moving so quickly though. The shadow is like moving down the hill. I mean, every time I look to the camera and then look back over there, I feel like it's moved, you know, probably about 10-15 meters down the hill. So yeah, it's really coming to life now, as I thought it would. You know, the hillsides, they were very flat before. Now, you know, I'm seeing all these different shapes and stuff as I look out, and yeah, it's making me think maybe I think what I'll do, once this light has moved, or that shadow has moved down to the bottom of the frame, what I'll probably do is I'll move on to something else, and I'll make the most of my time at this viewpoint and really maximise. You know, getting 2 or 3 compositions would be great. You know, that'd be lovely if I can come away from this morning and have a few shots in the back rather than just the one. So yes, yeah, I'll probably take 2 or 3 more. You know, every minute I'm taking another one. Oh, the other thing to mention, I've underexposed this shot by 1/3 of a stop, which I quite often do, which basically just gives me a little bit more latitude. I know I can boost those shadows in post a little bit, and you know, that won't degrade the image quality at all. But then it also does mean that my histogram isn't blowing out any of the highlights as well. So yeah, it's not a really high dynamic range scene or anything like that for me to need to bracket, but I have just underexposed by a 1/3 of a stop. Shooting at f11, 1/25 of a second, but I've got it in aperture priority, so the shutter speed doesn't really matter. The only consideration is the fact that it is a little bit windy and I'm on this, you know, fairly exposed viewpoint here. So f11, 1/25 of a second, ISO 100, 300mm, and underexposed by a 1/3 of a stop with a 10-second timer. Yeah, that's all the settings that I've gone with this morning. Yeah. And that light's starting to get a little bit more harsh in that direction now. So yeah, I think that might do it for this one. If we wait for that. There we go. And then yeah, I'll move on to something else. All I've done is I've moved further along. I don't know if you can see the original viewpoint I was at was just over to the right there. All I've done is literally moved, I don't know, 20 meters along on this wall here, and yeah, I'm using exactly the same settings as before. Still in aperture priority, f11. Am I zoomed all the way? I'm not zoomed all the way in anymore, so I'm zoomed out to about 250mm, but there's a lovely pocket of light over on a hillside. It's one of the original hillsides that I was keen on shooting, actually. So yeah, I've decided to, you know, stop what I was shooting in the direction of that small little village, And what I've got here is just a really beautiful Tuscan scene. All of the contours of the hills are just being accentuated by the shadows, and just how the light is playing with the trees and everything. It just looks incredible. And you've got a few kind of Tuscan farmhouses on the hill there, which just really show that Tuscan story. And off in the distance, there's a few hills that you can kind of see the horizon line there. So yeah, I think this is a really nice one as well, and a lovely bonus shot after that first one. Yeah, while it was a bit of a rush to get here and everything. Well, it wasn't a rush to get here, but just once I was here, everything's a bit of a rush, and I'm filming and everything like that. But yeah, it's ended up being a really enjoyable morning of shooting. So yeah, I've got a couple of shots that I'm really pleased with. This is a place that I haven't been to before, and it's not your usual Tuscan images, I wouldn't say. Well, it really does tell that Tuscan story, but those kind of quintessential Tuscan farmhouse shots, there's a lot of them that look very similar. So it's nice to come somewhere, this town Radicondoli, it's not a usual photographer's location, and maybe it should be. There's a few really good shots to get from up here actually, so it's nice to get something a little bit more original in such a popular photography location. So I'll take a few more frames the way I'm going, and then what I'm also thinking is I'd quite like a wider shot, because now, even as I've been talking to the camera, that hillside is being bathed in even more light, and every time I look, the scene just changes. So yeah, I think there's definitely one, or even I'm seeing another one as I'm talking to you. So yeah, just having this zoom range on with this camera and lens setup, I can really just pinpoint little bits of the scene, and it's just really a really nice flexible situation having a crop sensor camera and a super zoom like this. I can really get in nice and far, and then if I want to zoom out, I can zoom out to wherever I want to, basically. So yeah, it's working really well, and it's a lovely light setup to travel with the Sony a6700 and the Tamron 18-300. Yeah, so yeah, really enjoying it. Oh, the bell again. What time is that? That's 8 o'clock. Right, it's breakfast. Breakfast, I think I got to be back at 8:30 or 9 or something like that. So yeah, I do have to get a bit of a wriggle on now. Yeah, let's get these last few shots and then we'll call it a morning. Shot of the morning now. The light is just getting that bit too harsh. It's still quite nice in some places, and if it's hitting my subject, then it really accentuates the scene. But there's other places where it's now hitting, and it just looks a bit too harsh, and it ends up drawing attention to places in the image that I don't necessarily want to draw attention to. So yeah, I think I've probably just taken my last shot. As I was pinpointing little areas, I now could see my favourite town in the distance, San Gimignano, my favourite town in Tuscany. So yeah, I really wanted to get a nice shot of that. I don't know how it will turn out. It's not the most balanced composition in the world, but yeah, I just thought as I'm here and I can see it's way off in the distance. Yeah, I just thought let's try and get a photo of it. And then as I panned round, and as the light sort of was hitting the horizon, which it wasn't before, it was still in the darkness, so I could see that there's some snow-capped mountains way off in the distance. I saw them earlier and I thought, are they clouds or mountains? And it turns out they are mountains, but they're covered in snow. So yeah, it's really cool, because where I am, there's no snow here. I was hoping for snow on this trip, but yeah, this is as close as I'm going to get, I think. So yes, it's really nice to find a composition where there's a lovely little hillside town, in my foreground. It's still way off in the distance because I'm zoomed all the way in on this lens again. And yeah, then way off in the background you've got the lovely snow-capped mountains, just a beautiful backdrop. It'd be amazing if there were some clouds in the sky, because there's not a single one. It's a completely clear blue sky day, so yes, I think that would make things a little bit more interesting in the frame. But yeah, as it stands, I'm really happy with it. So yeah, I think that's going to be my last one of the morning. So yeah, thank you guys, thank you for watching. I'm not sure if I'll get any more chances to do photography while I'm here. If I do, and the video is short enough, I'll tack it on to the end of this video. But if I feel like it's worth putting into a next video, I'll do my sign out now and say goodbye to you. And if you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe, it'd be much appreciated. And leave a like and comment if you've got any thoughts or any opinions on my compositions and the gear I'm using and that kind of thing. I'll always reply to the comments, so yeah, let me know. Yeah, it's been a great morning actually. It's been really nice, very cold, but yeah, really worth getting out of bed and not hitting that snooze button this morning as I usually do. So yeah, it's been great. Thank you guys. See you next week. Bye.